What happens when one of the greatest actors of our time sits down for what seems like a simple interview, only for it to spiral into something no one saw coming? The tension in the studio was obvious from the first few moments, and what unfolded afterward left everyone stunned. Before we dive into this unforgettable moment, make sure you hit that subscribe button and share your thoughts below, because, trust me, you'll have plenty to say about what went down. So Anthony Hopkins walks onto the set, and right away something feels off. There's a certain energy about him, a quiet sharpness that wasn't there in past interviews. Joy Behar starts warmly enough, welcoming him, praising his career, mentioning his iconic roles, and keeping things light. Hopkins is polite but distant, giving short, measured answers. You can sense something simmering just beneath the surface. Then Joy changes direction. She starts talking about actors using their platforms for activism, about speaking out on world issues. She's clearly building toward something. Hopkins listens closely, his expression growing more focused. Then she says it. "You've been fairly quiet on social and political matters," she notes. "Don't you think with your influence there's an obligation to speak up about what's happening in the world?" The silence that follows is heavy. Hopkins doesn't answer right away. When he does, his voice is calm but firm. "An obligation?" he repeats, tasting the word. "You think I have an obligation?" Joy nods. "Yes. When you have millions who look up to you, you could use that to guide people toward what's right." Hopkins shifts slightly, and you can see a change in his demeanor. "And you believe you know what's right?" he says evenly. "You believe my duty is to tell people how to think?" Joy begins to respond, but Hopkins continues, his voice steady but gathering force. "I've spent 50 years studying human nature, exploring what makes people tick, what breaks them. And you know what I've learned? The moment someone believes they know what's right for everyone else, they become dangerous." The room goes silent. Joy's smile falters, not expecting that response. "I don't think wanting to make the world better makes someone dangerous," she counters. "Everyone thinks they're making the world better," Hopkins replies. "Every tyrant, every dictator believed they were doing good. They all thought they had the moral authority to tell others how to live." Joy's face tightens. "That's quite a leap, Anthony. I'm talking about using your voice for good." "And who defines good?" Hopkins asks sharply. "You? The media? People in bubbles disconnected from reality? You want me to use my influence to push an agenda and call that good?" The mood has shifted completely. This is no longer casual conversation. Joy tries to recover. "I think you're misunderstanding me." "No," Hopkins cuts in. "I understand perfectly. You're saying my worth isn't in my work or art, but in whether I echo the correct opinions. Whether I follow the crowd? People like me?" Joy challenges. "What does that mean?" Hopkins meets her gaze. "People who think they hold the truth. Who believe that because they have a camera, they're moral judges for everyone else. You sit here every day telling people what to think and call it service." "I give people information," Joy fires back. "I give them perspective?" "You give them your perspective," Hopkins corrects, "and dress it up as fact." The energy is electric. Joy's co-hosts exchange nervous glances. "I've been doing this for decades," Joy insists. "I've earned the right to have opinions." "Having opinions is fine," Hopkins replies. "Forcing others to spread them isn't. You don't want me to speak. You want me to echo you." "That's not dialogue. That's control." Joy lets out a tense laugh. "You're being dramatic, fitting for an actor." Hopkins tilts his head. "And when you can't counter a point, you dismiss the person. That's beneath you." "I'm trying to have a conversation," Joy insists. "No," Hopkins says. "You're trying to win. You wanted a friendly guest, not a challenge." One of the co-hosts cracks a nervous joke to lighten things, but it falls flat. Joy presses on. "People need leadership. When someone like you stays silent, it feels like indifference." "As defined by whom?" Hopkins asks. "You've built a hierarchy where only certain views matter. Anyone who disagrees is called indifferent or worse." "So nothing matters?" Joy asks. "We should just ignore the world?" Hopkins studies her. "I'm saying art transcends politics. It reaches truth, the kind that unites humanity. You thrive on division." "Division?" Joy repeats. "That's rich coming from someone who's made millions pretending to be other people." "Ah," Hopkins says, almost smiling. "You resent me because I'm beyond your influence. You can't shape my art to fit your narrative." I don't resent you, Joy snaps. I'm asking real questions. No, Hopkins raises his voice slightly. You're asking loaded questions. You want me to either agree or look foolish. It's a trap and I'm not playing. The crowd is transfixed. Joy, visibly irritated, says, You've spent too much time in your own head. Real people have real problems. Hopkins's expression hardens. I've played kings and killers, saints and monsters. I've explored the full range of the human condition. And you think I've lost touch because I won't shrink complex humanity into your political sound bites? That's not what I said, Joy says, but he continues. You live in a world of short segments and outrage. You call it reality, but it's theater. And you accuse me of being out of touch? Joy's tone turns sharp. You're avoiding responsibility for your influence. It's cowardice dressed as principle. The word hangs heavy in the air. Hopkins's eyes narrow. Cowardice? You think repeating the same slogans is courage. You call conformity bravery. It's not. It's fear of thinking differently. I face backlash every day, Joy argues. You hide in your mansion. Hopkins laughs coldly. You face criticism from those who already oppose you. But you're celebrated by your echo chamber. That's not courage. So silence is integrity? Joy shoots back. Your integrity is doing nothing while the world burns. The world has always burned, Hopkins replies. And it will long after we're gone. I don't pretend my opinions can stop that fire. You do. You think you matter more than you do. You're entertainment. We both are. I just admit it. Entertainment? Joy repeats furiously. I inform and educate people. To your advertisers, maybe, Hopkins says. To real people struggling daily, your show is background noise. You're a performer, just like me. Only I know I'm performing. A co-host tries to cut to commercial, but Joy waves her off. If you think what we do doesn't matter, why come here? Hopkins smiles, cold and knowing. Because I wanted people to see what happens when someone refuses to play along. How fast tolerance disappears when someone doesn't agree? Joy suddenly stands, her chair scraping loudly. You came here to ambush me? Hopkins stays calm. I came to have a real conversation. You're the one losing control. I'm not losing control, Joy protests, but her tone betrays her. You're being arrogant and dismissive. Sit down, Joy, Hopkins says softly but firmly. Listen instead of talking. The command freezes her. For a moment she hesitates, then sits, rigid and fuming. Hopkins continues, his tone calm but commanding. You want to make a difference? Then start by realizing you don't have all the answers. Admit that disagreement isn't evil, that your duty is to truth, not agenda. And you think you represent truth? Joy challenges. I represent only myself, Hopkins answers. I don't pretend my perspective is universal. That's the difference between us. Joy sighs, exasperated. You twist everything. I only said people with influence should act responsibly. Responsibly? Hopkins repeats. Defined by who? The crowd? The network? Responsibility becomes a weapon used to silence those who think differently. Joy steadies herself. We clearly have different views about fame. Obviously, Hopkins replies. You see it as power. I see it as chance. You think fame gives wisdom. I know it doesn't. That's insulting, Joy says flatly. It's observation, he says simply. If it stings, maybe there's truth in it. The co-hosts stay quiet, unsure what to do. Finally, Joy asks, so what should people in our position do? Stay quiet? Hopkins considers. We should do our jobs. Do them honestly. When I act, I give it all I have. I don't use it to lecture or preach. I serve the story. But art is political, Joy insists. It always has been. Art can explore politics, Hopkins replies, but when it exists only to push an agenda, it stops being art and becomes propaganda. So you've never chosen a role for its message? She asks. I've chosen roles that challenge me, he says. If audiences see meaning in that, that's their interpretation. I'm not here to teach, I'm here to reveal truth about humanity. And that's not a message? Joy presses. Hopkins pauses, then says, it's not instruction. It's reflection. I show truth. I don't dictate it. You tell people what to think. I let them think. Joy exhales, frustrated. You make me sound like a propagandist. I'm having conversations with people who agree with you, Hopkins points out. When was the last time you truly listened to someone who didn't? Joy hesitates, caught off guard. I engage with different views, she says finally. Engaging isn't the same as listening, Hopkins replies. Listening takes humility, the willingness to be wrong. But your job rewards certainty, not doubt. Joy looks shaken, but quieter now. You think I'm incapable of humility? I think your job discourages it, Hopkins says gently. You're rewarded for conviction, not curiosity. Doubt doesn't get ratings. The silence stretches. The audience is riveted. Finally, Joy asks, almost softly, so what should I do differently? Stop being so sure, Hopkins says. Stop dividing people into sides. Use your platform as a mirror, not a weapon. Show complexity. Trust your audience to think. Joy nods slightly. And if I did, would you respect me more? Hopkins smiles faintly. Respect doesn't mean agreement. But yes, honesty earns respect. Curiosity earns it too. Joy sighs, looking into the camera. This has been the most difficult interview I've ever done. Good, Hopkins says. Growth never comes from comfort. I'm not sure I agree with you, Joy admits. I'd worry if you did, Hopkins replies. The goal wasn't agreement. It was thought. Joy smiles faintly. Mission accomplished then. She turns to wrap up, but Hopkins interjects softly. No need. I think this is where we stop. He stands. Joy rises too. They look at each other for a moment before shaking hands. Hopkins walks off the set, leaving Joy staring after him as the audience breaks into hesitant applause. So there it is. One of the most intense interviews ever aired. A clash between two powerful minds where no one backed down. What do you think? Was Hopkins out of line? Or did he say what needed to be said? Drop your thoughts below and don't forget to subscribe.